Hello everyone, today I would like to throw a great question to all of you. Are you ready for these 15 mega trends in the world? To survive or not to survive? Only the fittest will survive the global tsunami of extraordinary changes that has already started. So make sure that you watch my video until the end. Our civilization has taken many giant steps over the last 12,000 years, since the end of the last ice age, and we are in a new age of humanity since March 2020. Let's take a look at a brief history of the world, emphasizing only the quantum leaps. Please note that I intentionally didn't include any religious or politically sensitive turning points of the world history. The list is just to show where we started and where we are heading. And I'm sure I have missed many other important ones too. Bear with me please as I try to make a very high level global summary. 50 to 65,000 years ago, Neanderthals reigned the human species. 12,000 years ago, the first religious center of the world was built at the beginning of the Neolithic period in Göbekli Tepe, a place in the southeast of modern Turkey. 6,000 years ago, civilization started in Mesopotamia by the Sumerians. 5,000 years ago, Stonehenge was built in modern England within 1500 years of construction period. 4,650 years ago, the Cheops pyramid was built by the ancient Egyptians. 2600 to 2300 years ago, myths reigned the minds and traditions until modern philosophy flourished from liberal thinking that started in Miletus, a city by the agency in modern Turkey, by the nature philosophers. This is the period when Zoroaster in the Middle East, Confucius in China, and Buddha in India emerged. The well-known philosophers like Pythagoras, Zenon, Epicurus, Diogenes, Parmenides, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle also lived during that period. 2300 years ago, liberal thinking ignited a new era that led to the Hellenistic period, when the ancient Western and Eastern cultures met at a grand scale, reaping the first seeds of experimental thinking and science. 2000 years ago, in the Library of Alexandria, early philosophers, scientists, as I call them, discovered the world, its circumference, with high precision. Besides, they mapped the solar system and the orbits of the planets. First, mechanical wonders were built to mimic humans, which they called automata. 1600 years ago, the destruction of the Library of Alexandria and the fall of the mighty Roman Empire, splitting as West and East, by the end of the 4th century AD, marked the beginning of a 1,000 years long dark age, also called the medieval period. The religion controlled every aspect of Western life in that period. 1300 to 700 years ago, the Islamic Renaissance, when Europe was suffering the pains of the scholastic period, ended with the invasion of the Babel by Mongols. 700 years ago, the rise of Renaissance in Florence, Italy spread all over Europe and put people in the very center of life with humanism. 600 years ago, the conquest of Istanbul by the Ottoman Empire marked the end of the medieval age and the start of a modern age. 500 years ago, first discoveries of the rest of the world and the brutal colonization. That was a bad and sad story. Columbus discovered America later on in 1492, opening up a brand new page in history. 400 years ago, Newtonian revolution with the principles of motion unveiled. 250 to 300 years ago, the American Revolution in 1776 and the French Revolution in 1789 marked the end of the modern age and the contemporary age began. Also, the industrialization dominated manufacturing and made the riches of the past available to a wider range of people, consisting still of the rich people, however. 150 years ago, modern psychology emerged as a science from philosophy. New discoveries in Egypt, Tibet, India, Siberia, Middle East, Turkey, and more countries unveiled the traces of our long-forgotten history. New spiritual currents appeared with the new interaction between the West and the Eastern cultures. Industrialization led to mechanization. New innovations in electricity, electromagnetism, acoustic physics, chemistry, and more carved the path for a new technological world. 100 years ago, Fed went live in 1913, changing the 100% gold standard into the partial gold standard. World War I marked the end of empires and the rise of nations. Quantum revolution with general relativity theory of Einstein and quantum theory arose with Heisenberg, Bohr, Planck and others. 90 years ago, the Great Depression in 1929 took place. 1939 to 1945, the World War II marked the end of British domination and the rise of the US. The bipolar world order was in place with the US and Soviet Socialist Republics Union. In 1944, dollar became the global reserve money in Bretton Woods Agreement. 1961 was the time when first man landed on the moon. 1971, end of the gold standard by the US, marked the beginning of the first test on unlimited money printing experiment that would lead to a crisis in 1981, 2001, 2008 and 2020. In 1991, the Berlin Wall fell down. In 2001, brutal terrorist attack in New York to Twin Towers happened, and in Washington to Pentagon. Enron scandal triggered an economic crisis globally as well. 2008, economic crisis due to mortgage balloons devastated the world, leaving many people homeless and without jobs. And in 2020, the world stopped with the pandemic and the economical crisis started. Now, people are talking about the Great Reset. In March 2020, for many, capitalism ended and transformation to a new economic global order have started. Let us take a look at how some of the mega trends will and can change the world and our lives in the coming future. Number one is economy. Capitalism will be replaced by a social version of capitalism. 2. Markets. Globalization will be overtaken by localization as countries try to increase employment by pushing for overseas manufacturing to be locally. They will protect their critical technologies. Money. Rise of new reserve money based on cryptocurrency will reign the world. Politics. A multipolar world with multiple superpowers will dominate the world. The world itself. Increasing number of regional wars to control petrol, water, transport routes and critical underground resources is going to jeopardize our world. Democracy. Political leaders will use a more authoritarian style to control the unrest. Children. Rise of Generation Z and then the Alpha generation is going to change the world. Parenting. Our children will stand up more for themselves and go after global opportunities. Don't ever expect them to be 100 miles away from you when you retire. They can likely be on the other part of the world communicating with you over the internet. Education. Online education will enable getting the best education no matter where you are in the world. Working. Remote working, flexible working hours, diversity, inclusion, belonging, and equality will be the main challenges of the business. Cultural diversity. More mobilization will bring more immigrational challenges to the world. Technology. Artificial intelligence will change the way we work and the employment structure. Many people will rebel against artificial intelligence with the fear of artificial consciousness. Nevertheless, robot rights will be an issue, especially when people start marrying with robots. Business. Domination of corporations will rule the business and the world. The Western and the Eastern giants will compete more severely, backed up by their governments, for a world domination. Religion. Rise of deism due to corrupt religious leadership and unnecessary adherence to myths, superstition, dogma and bigotry is going to change the way we believe in things. Energy. Increased utilization of green energy and electrification will dominate the world to avoid climate changes after 2030 due to the global warming. These are the 15 predictions according to myself. The world will surely be a better place after these transitions and more. Change is normal, it's a part of life and the universe. It's a key principle of the universe indeed. We cannot totally drive the winds of change, but instead we can adapt to it and prepare for it. So please make sure that you understand my message and these 15 key points above. If you like my video, please make sure that you like it and make sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos with super content. Thank you for watching me.